Hello and welcome to the first part of a two-part series of getting started and looking at getting more subscribers on YouTube. This first part is covering the getting started phase. Part 2, or my second video, will be looking at how to get more subscribers on YouTube. Now, for both these parts, some people might think that these are pretty obvious things, or they may not find them helpful at all, but I hope that some of you will find them helpful, because I often do get asked these very questions. So within this should be plenty of answers for you guys, and hopefully some helpful tips as well for getting started, not only just recording, but in my second part of how to push yourselves and get some subscribers on YouTube. Because I often get people asking me, oh, can you please give me a shout out in your videos, and I'm happy to do that, but there are other ways that you should be looking at as well to create unique content and attract subscribers on your own. As I certainly had help starting up, but I had to work at it on my own for quite some time. So anyway, that's part 2 pretty much. So part 1 is getting started. Now, what are you going to need to get started recording videos for YouTube? And this is looking purely at sort of the gaming videos here that I do for my channel. So no other types of videos, but you can kind of extrapolate the basics of this and put it on. So for recording from your PC, arguably the best screen recorder is a program called Fraps, which is, you can see it on screen now. Not only can it record your desktop with the latest version, if you have Windows Vista or Windows 7, which most people are leaning towards Windows 7 these days. Yeah, as I said, so it can record both your desktop and in-game footage. With the movies here, it can also record both the in-game music and sound effects from the game and an external input like my microphone, which is what I'm doing right now. If I had some music playing, you could hear that as well. But that's how I do my commentaries for all of my videos. You'll hear I don't record the video with the in-game sound and then record the commentary over it. I record it all in one go, and this is the effects that allows me to do that. By having both those ticked, you can record both of them. Few settings to play around with. Generally, if you want best quality, best to keep it on full size and around 30 FPS. Now, you're probably wondering, is Fraps free? There is a free version which allows you to record 30 seconds, and I believe that they put a watermark in the corner. I can't remember, because I pretty much used the trial version for half a day before realizing that it was a worthwhile investment. It costs £24 or $38 roughly by today's exchange rate. And that is a one-off purchase. All future updates to it are free, and I can honestly tell you right now that if you're honestly thinking about getting into recording videos or whatever, this is arguably the best program to use, and I can't complain too much. I know in previous videos I go, oh, there's Fraps lag and stuff, but to be honest, most of the time it's something to do with your computer. Drivers aren't quite right most of the time, but arguably, yeah, any screen recorder is a massive drain on your system. Which comes to my next point, that you need to decide first of all whether you're going to be producing a full HD, sort of high or ultra setting videos. Again, it depends what game you're playing. If you're playing something like Shogun Total War Series, then you do need a very good computer to get Fraps to record as well. You may sort of be able to play them happily on a medium spec computer on high and ultra settings, but with Fraps, it's pretty much doubling the stress that you're putting on your computer. And if you want to get sort of watchable and non-laggy footage, you're going to need a decent PC. And just a basic guide for that, you're looking for a multi-core CPU. Generally these days, even though AMD are cheaper and they're still a very good processor brand, if you're looking for something quality here, I'd go for one of Intel's i5s, or if you can afford it, an i7 Sandy Bridge CPU, and either an i5 or i7 will do you just fine. An i5 is pretty darn good. I'd go for that if I'm honest. You can also need a very powerful GPU, graphics card, to be able to capture the footage and obviously run at those high settings and maintain playable FPS. So pretty much on the ATI side, anything from the from an ATI 5850 and above, that includes the new 6000 series, but from the 6000 series I'd go from the 6800s and above. One of their best ones at the moment is the 6950 2GB version. The 2GB gives you a lot of good VRAM to play around with, and that will definitely benefit with Fraps and loading especially for Total War games, loading all the men and the features. So if you can, go for a 2 gig card. Again, that extends to the Nvidia side. For Nvidia, the GTX 460s are still selling very well, although now the sweet spot card really to aim for is the GTX 560 Ti version, and there are now 2 gig versions of those as well. Obviously, a 1 gig version is perfectly fine, but you will see some benefits with a 2 gig card. I've got in my main PC I've got a GTX 570 which has 1.2 gig of VRAM, and that records perfectly fine at full 1080p. So RAM wise, very briefly, 4 to 8 gig I've put down here. If you're really going for some heavy duty games, maximum settings, and doing a lot of rendering as well, then you might as well go for 8 gig. That's good. That'll work nicely. Again, that complement your if you've gone for an Intel Sandy Bridge CPU, that'll complement that well. But generally, 4 gig is perfectly fine. Of course, remember with anything with 4 gig and above, you're going to need 64-bit Windows to make full use of that RAM. Rendering. Now that comes to the next point. So pretty much Fraps self-expansion. You press F9 once you're in game. Once you do that, you get these video files, which I often get people saying, what do I do with it? So here's 2 Shogun recordings that I made earlier. The other videos is actually this video recording right now. But these 2 Shogun recordings are what you're left with when you record with Fraps. So you can see the files are massive. This one is 5 seconds long, and it's already 212 megabytes. Fraps creates a new clip every time it goes to about 3.79 gig, I think it is, and that is normally about a 2 to 3 minute clip. Depending on the resolution and what game you're playing and the detail. So easily parts of my campaigns are sort of between 10 to 15 gig in size, which is massive. And obviously you can't upload that to YouTube. The maximum file size is 2 gig, I believe. So you need to render it down to a much more suitable size. And also, if you don't have a very fast upload speed on your internet, uploading something that's quite a few gig in size is going to be a very long task. So you need a rendering program. Now, because I don't have my main PC, I can't show you Sony Vegas because that's all on there. Sony Vegas is a very expensive program, but it is a very good rendering program. But I would argue that really, for Total War, unless you're looking into making lots of effects and definitely loads of editing, Sony Vegas is not for you. But also, if you're looking into lots of effects, something like Adobe After Effects would be a program to go for all of that. But arguably you might be a bit more into photography and video editing anyway to get those kind of programs rather than just for making gaming videos. So I hear you ask, well, what can I use then that's cheap and, well, or free even? Windows Live Movie Maker is the answer to this. Now, many of you may go, what? You can't be kidding me. Surely this is going to be a crap program. It looks really basic and simple. It is really basic. It is really simple, but all of my videos that you've been watching pretty much for at least the last 8 months have been rendered on this. The occasional video, like my cinematics, are done with Sony Vegas, but most of my campaign parts are rendered using this program. And I use it because it is a very fast rendering program. Sony Vegas is a very good rendering program, but it takes a long time, even if you've got a very good processor. So it is as simple as dragging and dropping the files into Live Movie Maker. There's a bit of lag because Fraps doesn't like it, and that's because it's on my laptop anyway. So once the files go in, you can see them there. You can play around with all the effects. Make sure when they're in there, you go to Project and click Widescreen. Otherwise, if you click Standard, you will get this boxing all around my videos. I think when I recorded my Icky DLC competition announcement video, I accidentally left it on standard, and that's why there was the boxes around it. You want widescreen, and then it will fill up the entire screen, and it's nice and watchable for YouTube. Now, that's all you need to do, unless you're going to add any text to it, but it's pretty simple. You can see that there's adding text options down here. Very, very simple, easy to use program. To render the video, you literally click up here, and you go Save Movie. Now the pre-rendered settings are here, the common settings. High definition, this renders at full 1080p, but obviously you can see here, estimated file size is 173.03 megabytes per minute of video. Now that's still going to give you a pretty large file size if you're maybe not just making a short 3-minute cinematic. So for all of my videos, I render them at 720p, but but Windows Live Movie Maker, sorry, I'll close that. Windows Live Movie Maker doesn't come with a default 720p profile for 720p rendering. So you have to go to create a custom setting. Then all you need to do is make sure the width is 1280 by 720 height. You can leave that as it is, and then pretty much just name it 720. That will then render it down, estimated file size of 58.14 megabytes per minute video, which is far more manageable. And then you literally click save. I've already created a profile, so I will show you this. Do you want to? Nope. File, save movie, and then you go to your selection here. Left click it, and it will start the render. Obviously, this is a 6-second video, so it's going to render ridiculously quickly. But well, actually, I don't know how it probably. Actually, yes, it is rendering very quickly, even with Fraps running, which is interesting. But yeah, so you can see how quickly it renders. Generally, this thing takes about 5 to 10 minutes for me to render a 15 to 20-minute video for my campaign parts, so it's pretty darn good. Whereas Sony Vegas can sometimes take up to an hour to record the same amount. The quality is not noticeable, and you're left with a very nice clip. We'll see if we can play it. And this is just some random footage I was recording earlier. I don't know how well this will record with Fraps. Okay, but that is the video file you're left with. After that, all you need to do is go through the usual process of uploading through YouTube, clicking the upload button, and follow the on-screen help there. And that is the first part of this series of getting started on YouTube. I hope you found this useful and hope it's cleared up some questions that you've had. For those of you who haven't found this useful at all, please do understand that this is mainly to illustrate and show people that constantly ask me, or I get loads of people every day even asking me, how do I record, what do I render with? I can then instantly direct them to this video, and hopefully this shows them very briefly, just over 12 minutes or so, of how you can get started rendering and recording videos. Links to Fraps and Live Movie Maker will be in the description, and any questions on computers that you should use, whether it could handle Fraps well, etc., etc., do leave a comment or send me a private message. Stay tuned for part 2, and as always, hope you enjoyed. Please do comment, rate, thumb up this video, and subscribe.